What's up, family? It's your man, Courtney Brown Jr. here at the Radisson Blue Hotel. I am in Dakar, Senegal. That is West Africa. We are back in the motherland, working with the Made in Africa project. A bunch of brothers, some from back in the States, some from England, and some brothers right here in Senegal, getting some things popping. So we've been here. We're going to launch the Big Boss Africa channel, and excuse a little background noise. It's a beautiful hotel setting here, but they are doing some work around here. But nevertheless, we shall keep it moving. So, 2020, we had a lot of plans because it was the 10-year anniversary of when this whole journey began. And in this journey, as you guys know, and a lot of you guys know me and Eddie Jr. and my dad and the story of Eddie the Fat Man Jackson from our YouTube channel. But we really had planned on filling in the gaps because it's been quite an odyssey over this last decade that got us to where we are now. So here's kind of the story of the making of the book, Motown Mafia, which is what led to the documentary, which is what led to the Kingpin's Kid Radio, which is what led to Big Boss YouTube, and what will lead to eventually the making of the movie, Motown Mafia. So, 10 years ago, me and my partner Lou Stevens were doing some other things, and I had no intentions or ideas about getting involved in content or writing books or making movies or any of the above. And for those of you old enough to remember, 10 years ago, there was a company called Blockbuster Video. Believe it or not, right? But at the time, 10 years ago, Blockbuster was a really, really big deal, right? They were all over the country, a huge company. And like me, like a lot of other people, one Friday night, I would go to Blockbuster, pick up some dinner and some food, and come home to the family. And I picked up a movie called The City Is Mine, made by some guys out of Trenton, New Jersey, called Pierre Studios. Shout out to Pierre Studios. They had made a movie, some local brothers from Trenton, New Jersey, made a movie called The City Is Mine, and they got distribution through Blockbuster. I picked up the movie. It was a good enough movie, but it wasn't anything fancy or anything, but it was a good enough movie. So anyway, though, after watching the movie, I thought to myself, I can make a movie. When God gives you an idea, God gives you an idea. I said, if these guys can make this movie, I can make a movie. So I see Lou the next day or 2 days later, and I'm like, Lou, let's make a movie. And Lou looks at me kind of like, Courtney, what the hell, what the F you talking about, man? I'm like, we'll make a movie. I'm like, man, I saw this movie some brothers out of Trenton, New Jersey did. If they can do that, and they can get the Blockbuster, we can make a movie. He's like, okay, yeah, maybe, but what kind of story would we use? So I read him a newspaper clip, and the thing is, I don't go around telling people about my background or what I used to do working for my dad, or how the family got to where it's at. So I said, well, Lou, let me read you a little headline from back in the day. Both Jackson and Brown say they are business partners in real estate, but neither will reveal any details about their activities. Federal authorities are more specific. They say the two men are among Detroit's principal active narcotic suppliers. Detroit Free Press, Monday, April 16th, 1973. So that little blurb is on the cover of the book, and that was the headline I read when I was in 3rd grade. And Lou's like, are they talking about you and your dad? And then he did divulge to me that some of my other employees had shared some little stories that my father was a hell of a big fella back in the day, and this, that, and the third. And he's like, well, shit, Courtney, if that's what you want to try to do, let's do it. So we're not even thinking about a book at the time. We're just, the idea was I'm going to make a movie. So I started doing a little research online, and then the first kind of episode in this journey was with Robert Townsend, the producer and actor of Hollywood Shuffle, which is a fascinating story. And anyway, Robert Townsend was doing a seminar in New York on aspiring film artists or filmmakers, right? And me and Lou hopped on a plane, Went to New York. I don't know, I think we paid about $100 a ticket for this Robert Townsend seminar. And, you know, it was kind of a scam, all due respect to Robert Townsend, but I ain't mad, and some good came out of it. It was only about 45 minutes. We flew all the way to New York to holler at Robert Townsend. And, you know, he was really just a motivational speech thing, but we did that, got a chance, and then as fate would have it, when you know that God's hands are in play, the same guys from Pierre Studios from Trenton, New Jersey, who had made this movie, The City Is Mine, which inspired my whole thought that we can make a movie. They're also at this Robert Townsend seminar. And we get a chance to meet, what was the other sister's name? Valar. It was a bunch of people who along this journey we ended up, because there would be the Miami Film Festivals and all kind of film festivals were to come in this journey. But, so shout out to that, you know, Robert Townsend, that was all right. You know, we didn't get a ton of information from that, but we did get some motivation from that. And after the Robert Townsend thing, we come back and started the real little journey. And there's a bunch of little names along this journey that you're gonna probably have recognized. So I'm motivated now, and I reached out to a guy named Eddie Fowlkes. Eddie Fowlkes is my man from way back in the day. He's regarded as the godfather of techno music. The man who really kind of got that popping. He put us in touch with some guys. Shout out to Dave London, Sergey, Jen, a production studio out in Detroit, Michigan called Parliament. And at this point, we had began to get an idea that maybe we'll do it like, you know, The Godfather was a book before it was a movie. So we started to think about, maybe we'll do a book first, but the thing is, I'm like a horrible speller and never did good in English, so I say this to motivate you. Don't let, where there's a will, there's a way. So Lou starts telling me, Lou's, you know, our tech guy and my tech partner, and he handles all of that kind of stuff. And Lou's like, Courtney, they got all kind of programs. It's like, really, man, you can just talk into your phone and it'll write it out for you, and then when you're done, I can edit it and we can make it happen. And I don't know how I got in touch with Michelle Moore. Me and Michelle went to high school for a minute. Michelle Moore, Essence Award-winning author, owner and founder of Say You Promise Publishing. You know, she's in that upper echelon of urban fiction authors. So I reached out to Michelle. You know, she'd lived her life out here around. She'd been around the block a couple times too. And when I ran the story by her, and Detroit being a small town, especially among people who in that life, she was familiar with my pops. Everybody familiar with Eddie Jackson, his legend. And I said, well, you know, if I make a manuscript, which is what it's called, before it's a book, it's an actual manuscript. If I make a manuscript, can you give it that polish and make it a real book? And Michelle was with it. And then the foundations of what was to be this book was set. So shout out, and that was the first leg of this journey. How do you make a book? And then it leads into a movie, award-winning movie. But it all started with Robert Townsend in New York. So shout out to Robert Townsend. Shout out to Parliament Studios. We're gonna unpack the rest of this story on what happened with Parliament. You know, how Fox 2 ended up being on Fox 2 and the whole book tour and how it ended up being took down. But shout out again, 10-year anniversary, Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid, available at BigBossFilmworks.com, available at Amazon. So if you don't know, if you're interested in what I'm doing, how I got here, the story of Eddie Jr., why me and Eddie Jr. have been friends since day one, why his old man and my old man go back 50, 60 years now. Black Butch, Rudolph, you know, their interactions with, it's just wild because now you got Will Smith about to play Nicky Barnes in the show, and you know, Nicky and Dad and Eddie and them all crossed paths and did their things. Frank Lucas, you know, Denzel's played Frank Lucas. You know, Eddie was, you know, featured in Ebony, back at that famous fight with Frank Lucas and the Chinchilla. And it's just been a wild journey how the world and all these other things end up crossing paths with us on this project. But anyway, fam, I ain't gonna hold you up. We're gonna do some more. We're gonna unpack the rest of this story, you know. But again, 10-year anniversary, and I'll be thanking a lot of people. But just right now, starting off where it all began, you know. Shout out to Robert Townsend, the motivation he gave us and the networking. You know, shout out again to Pierre Studios. The city is mine. I guess you guys can probably still find it online now. All credit to them because it was their project that really inspired me to say, you know, we probably can do this. And to Jen and Sergey again and Dave London, those guys at Parliament Studios for the work they ended up doing once we got it. But anyway, it's your man, Courtney Brown, Big Boss Filmworks, live, Dakar, Senegal, West Africa, Radisson Blue Hotel. I'll let you, man.